Hi, this is a bit of a new format on this channel and I think I'll call it Let's Code. Hi, I'm Philip from codekabinett.com and today I'm trying to do a bit of a new format on this channel and as I said, I call it Let's Code in reminiscence of all those Let's Play videos on YouTube. I'm not particularly fond of those, but I think the familiarity in name is actually what I intend to transport in these videos. This is not going to be a tutorial where I explain everything. Quite to the contrary, I will start this video with a goal in mind. I want to achieve something with code and I'm going for that goal, and I might take a couple of shortcuts. I might actually do some coding and cut that out later because it might be too boring for you. And well, actually, I'm not too sure what exactly I'm going to do because I haven't really tried that. I haven't scripted this video. I only have my goal in mind, and that's what I'm going to focus on today, and leaving bits and pieces on the wayside and not talking about them, not covering them. So my goal today is to create a reusable component of some sort. It's about my Sync-Scrollbar demo. I wrote that demo, I can't even remember, it's more than 10 years ago that I first wrote it. And it's doing what it's supposed to do. But recently I get quite a few questions. How do I use this functionality in my application? How do I use it if I want to use it a little bit differently than set up in your demo? And I can't really answer these questions in a short and comprehensible way because this demo is, although it's fairly small, it's still a bit of a tangled mess. Not too bad actually, but it's really hard to just insert this functionality into an existing app. So today I'm trying to hit two birds with one stone, making a video and improving that sample all at once. And well, just let's get started now. Oh, one more thing. If you do like this video, please let me know in the comments, but all the more if you do not like this video, or if you rather want something improved, some other aspects, or have any feedback at all, be it positive or negative, please absolutely do put it in the comments below. And otherwise I can't know if I just should discard this new format, if I should do more of that. So feedback is crucial here. Please let me know whatever you think about this type of video. Thank you. Here we are. This is the application, and before we start working on it, I give you a very quick demo what it is about. I just open this form, ScrollMaster, and you see this opened automatically another form as well, the Scroll Child. And the point of this demo is these are two completely independent forms which are in equal size, and the demo thing here is I scroll the master form and you see the child form scrolls along. And that is basically the point of this demo. You can sync two different forms in their scrolling. I recently received the question, how do I use this if I don't have two independent forms like here, but two subforms sitting on one main form, and the scrolling should sync both of the subforms. And actually, after thinking about it, that is probably a much more realistic use of that sample. So I absolutely understand the requirements, but it is hard to do it, and I show you why. Yeah, we have two forms. This is just a copyright notice that is not relevant in the sample itself, and two modules, so it's not too bad. But let's switch to the VBA environment and look at the scroll child first. That is completely empty, and there is, as far as I can remember, there's nothing in there that is special. But the ScrollMasterForm, that is causing concerns right now. It has quite a lot of properties like scrollbar handles, scrollbar positions, and stuff that is only there to manage this scrollbar functionality. And then the master form is responsible to open the child form and position the child form so that they are equal in size and nicely aligned below each other. And then the scrolling logic takes place, and finally we got these modules. This is a module containing lots and lots of API declarations, lots of constants, and you might notice all those functions are public, so they are kind of polluting my namespace with internal API stuff that I'm probably not concerned about most of the time if I'm working on some sort of business purpose application and are not concerned with that scrolling feature here. Now there's another module that is basically the main scrolling functionality that are a couple of API calls, not the API declarations, but the API functions are called in here, and that is basically the heavy lifting of that demo application. So once again, these are public functions. They are all over the place. If I just go to the immediate window and type something in here, you see find. Now I got my FindScrollbar, and if I type find in a business application, I probably not intend to find a scroll bar, but I want to find a customer or an order or an address or whatever. So these internal scroll bar functions like get class name and get parent and stuff, these are all over the place, while their purpose is only very, very isolated for that sample. And that is something I want to tackle. My goal for today is to create one class module that contains all the logic of the scrolling functionality, and that you can just plug into your application and hook up your own forms to the scrolling logic, and then just it just works all inside that class module, and all the internal logic of that scrolling gimmick is encapsulated away. So I need a class module if I would want to put that into a class. So I name this Scroll controller, whatever. So now, first thing, I grab this whole API stuff and put it into the scroll controller, and you just see at once there is a bit of a problem here because I cannot have these public constants inside a class module. But that is actually pretty easy to fix, and I'll do it in a minute. Just let's grab all this stuff as well and put it also in that class module. That's not necessarily too too elegant, but yeah, we're just focusing on the goal to hide all the stuff away in a class module. And I just delete these two, remove, no, I don't need that stuff anymore. And finally, all that stuff from the master form that goes into the class module as well. So I leave these here because we might need them later. So we just dump that in here and just save that. That's my class module. And I don't delete the ScrollMasterForm because that is something I want to keep, obviously. Now let's tackle all these errors. And it's actually pretty easy. I just need a simple search and replace. So I replace all. Okay, much better. Now let's compile. Obviously this has to go, and this is some sort of copyright notice. I cut that and put that inside a notepad window. Maybe I insert that later, maybe not. I don't want to bother with that now. Okay. Compile again. So now here's a bit of a problem, and I'm not going to say too much about that. That is, hang on. The marshaler for the API functions is not happy when using a type in a declaration, and that type is a private type, and that is actually a shortcoming of VBA and Visual Basic 6, and I just work around that by just using a long pointer here. That's not something you should do unless you know what you're doing, but let's not bother with that now. And compile once more. And we need to make all these declare statements explicitly private, because otherwise they would be public. So this is inside that copyright notice form that was just to start the demo. So just comment that out and go back to our class, and once more. So I've got a bit of a problem here. This address of operator is supposed to return the address of this function, which is here, but that does not work inside a class module, and that is something that is pretty annoying, and I think I need to cut you out for a while to look for a workaround here. Okay, I think I found a solution. This address of operator is only used in the enum child windows API function, and I use that to loop through all the windows that are children of that form window. That does include the scroll bars, and I just get this function will be called for each window that is found by the Windows API, and it passes in the window handle of that child window. And then I try to figure out, is that the scroll bar I'm looking for? But that might not be needed at all, because maybe I can find this by just using the Find Window API. And I'm going to add the Find Window API in here. So just copy that part and do my API declaration here. Once again, I'm not going to do too much explanations here. So I probably use that instead of the API I previously got, and well, I think we can get rid of this altogether, but I'd rather put in error here, change to Find Windows. So this is just a marker for me that I just don't get confused when this does not work anymore, but so I want to have the real error here. So what is this? Oh yeah, that is the API declaration I had here earlier, where I changed that to be a pointer instead of the rect type it actually is. So let's go back to where the error was. And of course we need a pointer here. So I just call that client pointer, and it is a long. Well, just one word. This is not compatible to 64 bits, and this will only work in 32-bit VBA. If you are interested in how to convert your code, and particularly your API functions, to 64-bit, then I recommend another video. I'll put in a link up here, and that is going to explain that quite a lot. But I'm not going to delve any deeper in that right here. So I need a pointer to that rect thingy. That is a hidden function, I guess. And now we don't pass in that rect directly, but the pointer to that rect. But then that does not change too much here, so that should work as well. That are some internal variables here. Where do I put them? That is still going to be a mess. So now we're getting to the harder bits. That was copied from the form. You see it's form load and the me reference to the form itself. That is something we need to address here. That is probably going to be one of the most important things here, because we still deal with forms, but we're not inside the form anymore. So I will add a property procedure here. Let's use the MZ tools to do that. So we just create a property and insert that here, and we also need the scroll child form, insert that as well. Now we've got these properties here. So all the code was copied from the scroll master, so I replace the me reference here with a reference to the scroll master. And this is something that was a property I declared in the form. So what are we going to do here? We're not going to find that. We need to use a text search. And that is the internal value. It's the window handle of that scrollbar. Oops, scrollbar window handle. And I think we get rid of these properties altogether, and that handler is not required anymore. So just let's debug again, and that is going to be the internal member. It was typo in there. So once again, the me reference is a reference to the ScrollMasterForm, and we can also use the private member here. And once again, we got a rectangle that is passed into the API that is not working anymore because we need the pointer instead. So I introduce that and just it's not properly aligned. Just get the reference, the pointer reference to that rectangle, and then I pass in that pointer to the Windows API. Once again, you should not do this unless you really know what's going on there. Okay, did you notice my code compiles? That is the first milestone achieved. There's no critical error in here anymore. Now what we need to do, we need to find some event procedures in here. I used the form timer. That is actually, it's not too nice. I would have rather subclassed, I would have rather liked to have subclassed the form and handled the scroll window message. That would have been much more elegant, but it does work in VBA, but only if you never open the VBA editor. So I rather resort to the timer. It's a bit ugly, but otherwise it will cause the whole VBA environment to become unstable during development. You could still deploy something with subclassing to your users who never will open the VBA editor environment. But if you're working on that and open VBA to change code while subclassing is in place, it will pretty soon crash the VBA environment and access, and everything is going down the drains, just as a side note here. So we need the form timer. So we need to handle events from our form, and here's the ScrollMasterForm. And we need to add the with events keyword here to be able to handle the events from the master form. Where I'm missing my MZ Tools Code Explorer. That is pretty helpful here. Don't want to see any constants, just I don't need that properties window, and I probably am not going to need that for a while. So I need to look at these event handlers. So this is, I'm not sure if we should use that at all, but we are going to need the timer, and that is something we need to change to the ScrollMasterForm timer. That needs to call Sync-Scrollbars. So where were we? Okay. We have the ScrollMasterForm here, and I need the corresponding, here's the set property to that. I move that here because I want to have the getter for ScrollMasterForm close to the setter. Now, to make sure the event handler fires, there needs to be the event handler wired up, and so we need to deal with the on timer thingy, and there needs to go the event procedure keyword to indicate there is an event procedure to actually handle the on timer event. And now we need to jump to the ScrollMasterForm to find out the timer interval I used. It's 100 milliseconds. Can remove that here, we don't need that anymore. Yeah, well, I don't care. Just disable that and close the form once more and back to our class module. So we need to set the timer interval here to the 100 milliseconds to make sure the timer fires. And this is something that we cannot set in the design of the form anymore, because that is something that our user, the developer who uses this component, is going to maintain, and this is our internal logic, and we will take care of that. What we could do here is make sure that there is no macro wired up for that, or that the timer interval is not already set for something else. But well, actually I've got so much stuff in my head to keep track of right now. I just leave it as it is for now. Okay, I think the form load stuff, I think the open child has to go. And yes, we definitely need to find the scroll bar, but that should not happen in form load anymore. We should do that when we set the ScrollMasterForm, and maybe, just maybe, we should check if this is not nothing, because otherwise we would get a couple of errors here. So, well, we check for nothing. So what is FindScrollbar doing? Yeah, that is something we needed to take care of. So we've got the internal variable or with the scrollbar window handle, and that is what is was originally happening here, we were setting the scroll bar window, and I used the find window proc in here, and I was a bit too fast because I need some information that was there before. Well, I need to look that up. Hang on a second. So I just copied some code from a backup because I actually deleted a bit too much earlier, and so it's always advisable to have a backup because we need the scrollbar class name, and that is something that actually changed in Access 2007. So there is a check on the Access application version here. If it is 2007 or newer, we are looking for a NUI scrollbar. And in older versions of Access, we were just looking for a scrollbar. So, well, that needs obviously to go before the call to the find window proc, and we are looking for the class name. That is our scrollbar class name here, and we look for the horizontal scrollbar, and I bet that is just called horizontal. Well, actually I did look that up earlier, so I used the Spy++ tool to look that up. That might be a topic for another video, but not for today. So we can get rid of that warning, and yeah, I put a breakpoint in here because that is crucial, and I'm not entirely sure if it works the way it is supposed to. Something else we need to change here, and that is our reference to the child form, because we cannot know the name. Originally this was the name of the child form, but we can't know that because that is up to the developer. So we delete both of these constants here and compile, and obviously we'll get a bit of error here. That was the first reference to the child form. So we replaced that with our mscroll child form and go on compiling to find all that. We don't open the child form anymore. That can go. Well, let's just try to continue to compile, and here's one more reference to the child form. And once again, we replace that with our reference to the child form variable inside our class. And everything compiles fine. What we need to do now is to kind of hook up the class module here. This is inside my copyright notice, which is kind of a startup form for the whole demo. So we declare a private variable for that scroll controller here as a scroll controller. So, and on button click we set the scroll controller to new instance of that class. We need to open our forms. So we open the scroll master and we open the scroll child as well. And now we need to set our members inside the class module. The master form is now this form, and the child is obviously the scroll child form. Well, not sure if that is actually going to work, but let's try. Now I click the Start Demo button and, well, great. We are inside that FindScrollbar method where I said I'm not sure if that works as desired. So I'll just execute that and tells me file not found. Well, find window. Let's go to the definition. Find window. Oh, there is obviously something wrong here. The library name is user32 and the alias for that function is find window A. So stupid error there. Let's try again. We need to close these. Not sure if we need. Now, once again, no error. But we did not find the scrollbar name. The scrollbar window handle. Not sure why this is. So I guess once again I need to figure that out. Okay, I found the problem. I think the find window API function is not what I need here, because that will only find top level windows, and our scroll bars are obviously children of the form window. So the find window proc has not a chance to find these. We need the find window X API. And so we changed the declaration here. That is the bloody timer that's still running, that is messing up with the coding. So we just close the forms to discontinue the timer firing. And well, here's something wrong. If the alias is the same as the actual function name, then the alias is automatically removed, which is idiotic for a reason I'm not going to tell you here, but it is very stupid, and I renamed that after. So well, I needed to add that alias again. Now we need to add these two arguments that were not there before. Once again, I declare them as long, which is not entirely correct if you want to port your code to 64-bit. But as mentioned before, I just want to get this done and clean up later. So, and we can comment that out, and then we'll jump right to the function call. We change that to find window X. Okay, maybe, just hopefully, this will work better. Of course, the argument is not optional. We need to pass in our window handle for a form, and we don't know the child window where we want to start searching. So we insert 0 to start at the first child window with our find window process. Okay, once again we run the stuff, and we're right here, and we run that, and that looks much better. We've got a window handle here, and I hope it is the one we're looking for. We'll see in a bit. So I put that to the side. Well, I need to close that, and that is going to be a problem because that will actually now destroy our member variable. That if I close the form, then this private member goes out of scope and our class instance is discarded, so it can't work. What do we do now? Just for the sake of testing, I introduce another module, but that is something that is just a helper thingy. Now we need to change that to public. That is just quick and dirty to make it work, and I don't even bother to enter a real name for that module. Now let's try again. So we start the demo, close the form, and now it works. It basically works. You see the alignment of the forms is not working yet. We'll take care of that now. That is something that was in the open child method, and the open child, that is not really the right name for that, so we call that align forms. So yeah, well, we'll see if that works that way, and we need to call that when the form scroll master is set. Well, I'm not entirely sure what the best approach would be, because I cannot know in which order a developer would set that. I could tell them in the documentation, yeah, set the master first, but well, you know how it is with documentation. Nobody reads it, so we better take care that it works anyway. So if not the scroll child form is a nothing, then we will align the forms. And we checked previously if the scroll master is not nothing. So we can be sure that the scroll master is set, and now we check if the scroll child is set as well. So it should work now, but we just move that to the setter for the child form as well. So if someone sets the master first and the child second, then this would not work, because then while this code runs, the child form is still nothing, and we can't align a non-existent form. So we need to put the same logic in here, and we should check if the master is not nothing as well. So now it doesn't matter in which order we set our forms, they should be aligned anyway. Let's try it. We start the demo, hide that form, and you see the forms are almost aligned. There's probably a pixel off here, but I'm not concerned with that now. The scrolling works. That is actually quite good. But the real challenge, or the real test if our solution is any good, is still to come. Because the problem why I wanted to encapsulate all that stuff inside the class module is to make it work if the two forms are subforms of another form. And that was the, well, in some way the main reason behind doing all this. So let's try that. We create a new form in here, and we insert a subform, one subform here and another subform below. And this is going to be our scroll master, and that is going to be the scroll child. Now, when our form, how do we call it? Form, just call it parent for lack of a better name. So when this form opens, well, we should have used the load should be fine. When the form loads, we need to do the same we did here. So we can paste the code in here. We obviously do not need to open the forms because they are subforms on this form. And now we can actually declare the variable here, because the form will not close while we're still concerned about the subforms. So we go here and say that is the subform scroll master, and that is the subform scroll child. And back to the code. And that is me sub scroll master dot form, and that is me sub scroll child dot form. So we don't need to align the forms. Well, I hope that it's not crashing there with the alignment stuff, but we'll see in a minute. We open the master form here and scroll, and you see it works. So the core functionality is achieved, and we can basically, we could delete that. That is not required for the subform example, but it would be required for that standalone form example. But maybe we try to put it in here and we don't close this form. Maybe we just hide it. That's not really the nicest way to do it, and just get rid of that module again. So there is no external dependency. Maybe it works now. So I open that form and say start demo and hide the form, and now I can access these forms. They're standalone and the scrolling works, because the copyright notice form, the startup form, is still existing in the background. I'm not sure if that is the very best idea, but it is probably viable in that sample. The really important part is there is actually no dependency anymore except the scroll controller. This code is massively ugly. There are lots of procedures in here. I guess a couple of them aren't needed anymore. That is still a mess, and that should be cleaned up. But they are all private. You do not see anything inside your global namespace. Only inside the scroll controller is all the messiness. So it does not pollute the namespace. Someone can copy the scroll controller in his application and run it with just these three, well, we count that less than 10 lines of code. You can use the functionality. So that is a reusable component now. That's it for today. I cannot stress enough. The code is ugly. It needs additional cleanup. But the goal was achieved, to wrap it all up inside a single class. Maybe there are still actually some valuable lessons. I'm not sure if it was easy enough to pick them up, but a couple of things were probably quite useful. But maybe I should make more isolated videos about single aspects I did in that whole Let's Code thingy. Well, once again, please let me know if this was any value to you, what you think, questions you might have, thoughts, whatever, put it in the comments below. And thank you for watching. Well, this was an atypical video for my channel yet, so just look at the other videos, and if you like the other stuff, subscribe. If you actually like this, subscribe all the more, but let me know in the comments. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.